Bonjour à tous, welcome to this video on the irregular French verb aller, which means to go. Using aller is really simple because most of the time it's the same as go in English, and of course it's used to form the near future tense. So if you know the present tense conjugation of aller really well, the near future will be really easy. So let's have a look at the present tense conjugation to begin with. We have je vais, tu vas, il, elle, on va, nous allons, vous allez, and il, elle vont. This one is quite irregular, so if you're struggling with it, there are some patterns that might help you to remember it. First of all, if we have a look at the first three conjugations, je, tu, il, elle, on, we start with je vais, then we lose the I and get tu vas, and then we lose the S and get il, elle, on va. Then nous and vous deviate from the thematic V that we've seen up until now, and they actually do what you'd expect aller to do if it were regular. And then il, elle returns to that thematic V with vont. Obviously that only really helps if you're learning them sequentially in that order, but you'll use this verb so often that eventually it will become instinctive and you won't even have to think about it. In terms of passé composé, aller takes être as its auxiliary verb, so we start with the present tense conjugation of être, je suis, tu es, il, elle, on est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils, elles sont, and then that is followed by the past participle, which for aller is actually regular. Then, of course, because we're using être, we also have to think about agreement. So if your subject is feminine singular, add an E. If it's masculine plural, add an S. And if it's feminine plural, add an ES. You'll notice there are some funny looking things here as well. Sometimes the S is in brackets, sometimes it's not. So for nous and il, elle, the S is compulsory because nous, il, and elle always refer to more than one person. For vous, the S is in brackets because sometimes vous refers to one person, sometimes it doesn't. So you just have to choose whichever is appropriate. If you're using vous as an informal singular you, then don't add an S. And if you're talking to a group of people, then add an S. And then, of course, there's the S with a question mark on the il, elle, on. This actually only really refers to on. Il and elle are always singular, so they never need an S. But with on, you can use that to mean we. Okay, it's commonly used to mean we in colloquial French. And so some people, because of that, will add an S because it technically refers to more than one person. That is not incorrect, nor is it incorrect to not put an S. Personally, I don't put an S because as far as I'm concerned, on is third person singular, regardless of how many people it refers to. So I don't really think it needs an S, but you will see it with an S from time to time. Imparfait is exactly as you'd expect it to be because of course the only irregular imperfect is être, so we take the new form of the present tense, which is allons, take off the ONS and that gives us al, and then we add the imperfect endings and we get j'allais, tu allais, ils, elles, on allait, nous allions, vous alliez, and ils, elles allaient. The future, apart from the fact that the stem is irregular, the future is relatively simple. So the stem for aller is ir, which I know looks nothing like aller, but it's got something to do with its Latin roots. And to that you add the future endings, and we have j'irai, tu iras, il, elle, on ira, nous irons, vous irez, and ils, elles iront. And of course the conditional is very similar because the stem is exactly the same, only this time we add the imperfect endings. And so we have j'irai, tu irais, il, elle, on irait, nous irions, vous iriez, and ils, elles iraient. The subjunctive for aller, I have to admit, is really weird. We have j'aille, tu ailles, il, elle, on aille, nous allions, vous alliez, and ils, elles aillent. So notice again how nous and vous are kind of going against the pattern. Right, so we have I, and then for il, elle, we have I as well. But nous and vous, they kind of do their own thing and they say, no, we're not having ILL, we're having LLI. So it's not ion, aille, but allions and alliés. Again, actually, that's what you would expect it to be if it were regular. It's very strange, but actually it's a good pattern to notice because it helps you remember at least the nous and vous forms. As usual, passé simple is not something you need to know in major detail, but as it happens, aller is actually regular in passé simple, and it's easy to recognize. We have j'allais, tu allas, ils, elles, on alla, nous allâmes, vous allâtes, and ils, elles allèrent. And finally we have a look at the imperative, which for aller can get a little bit confusing, but I'll talk about that in the imperative video. For now, you just need to know the basics. For tu, we say va, nous allons, and vous allez. So it's exactly the same as the present tense indicative, apart from the fact that va for tu has no s on the end, which is often the case with imperatives. And that's really everything. To see more irregular verb videos, please go to the playlist, they're all there. And if there's anything in this video you've not been quite sure about, then my verbs playlist is also there conveniently for you to click and go and watch anything that you're not quite sure about. Of course, you can always ask me a question, how by any means necessary. And yeah, that's it really. So I will see you in the next video. À bientôt.